biggest revolution of all. Musk tried to change the government with DOGE. He failed, not because he didn't do a good job, but because government, the way it's set up right now, is pretty much unfixable. The problem with government, by the way, is not the government. It is the constituency that supports this government. And the three biggest constituencies in this country are the auto industry, oil and gas, and unions. They are the biggest constituency in government. There's others such as the medical community, farmers, but those three are very big, and they're in particular big hurdles for us here as Tesla shareholders and for Elon Musk as owner of Tesla, or partial owner of Tesla. So what I mean with the biggest revolution of all is the fact that Musk is basically embarking on a very different path when it comes to changing the government. Instead of trying to fix the vested interest and the constituencies which are, stopping reforms, he's going to make the constituencies obsolete. With full self-driving and robotaxi, he's going to make the auto industry obsolete. He's going to make the oil and gas industry obsolete. And with Optimus, he's going to make the unions obsolete. This is what I mean with the biggest revolution of all. This is not even on podcast. It's May 30th, 2025. This is Cream Delco. For the year, we are down 13.1%. The market's up 0.5%. We're underperforming by 13.6%. So as shareholders of Tesla, we're of course sitting here thinking the stock is very, very well valued given the fundamentals of the company. The fundamentals of the company are actually weakening as we speak. There is a backlash in China also against an oversupply of the EV industry, which could in the short term hurt Tesla. In the long term, of course, it will help Tesla if we have a consolidation there. But we have very weak fundamentals. So the question now is, why are we holding on to the stock? And the answer is we're holding on to the stock because Musk is now embarking to the biggest revolution of all. He's doubling down on AI as a solution for government problems. And this is not just GDP growth trying to offset spending. This is undoing the constituencies which are actually stopping government. This is the big deal here. This is what I want to bring across in this episode. We've been talking about this for the last 10 days. Musk has announced his departure from DOGE. He basically gave up on reforming the government. Now, if you analyze what exactly is the problem with the government, you realize that it is not the government. The people, the politicians, whether it's Trump or the senators and the Congress people, they're let's call them the puppets. I mean, they're not great people, but they're not the problem. They have a constituency, and the constituency is the problem. And the constituency is, there's unions, there's the car industry, there's oil and gas, there's others, medical, and there's teachers and all kinds of constituencies. But fundamentally, we're dealing with the unions, oil and gas, and the automotive industry, which is stalling progress in the United States. And that's, by the way, why China is so advanced in electric cars. It's because they don't have an oil and gas industry to speak of, and they don't have a car industry. They did not have a car industry to speak of. So this is roughly where we stand right now. And Musk is embarking on the biggest revolution yet, which is undoing those constituencies, basically putting them obsolete. Like, unions are powerful because they represent labor. If you replace labor with robots, the unions lose their power. Now, there's still social issues to be dealt with. Let's not kid ourselves. We will have, all kinds of issues once we, make these people obsolete. But at least from a perspective of them having power in terms of strike and stuff, that will go away. The same applies to the oil and gas industry. If you have full self-driving and robotaxis and a total shift to electric cars through full self-driving, basically robots driving themselves, driven by batteries and electrons, then the oil and gas industry will, at least as far as transportation is concerned, not have much of a say. And then the same, of course, applies to the car industry. So this is the biggest takeaway I would say from the last 10 days or so, having discussed DOGE, having discussed the problems with the government, the deficit, and all of these things. It is not a good situation we're in. The bond market could crack. It probably will crack. We will have turbulences in the markets. We will have, probably sell-offs in the markets. We will have interventions by the Fed. We will have all of these kinds of things coming. But we are still holding on to the stock because we believe that the biggest revolution which is coming, the one we just discussed, will generate massive amounts of revenue for Tesla. Now, if we look at the actual numbers that we're talking about here, let's say we take a car that can produce $100,000 per year. This is based on $300 per day times 350 days or so. It's a robot. It can work pretty well. Assuming Tesla can produce a car that can last for 500,000 miles, doesn't break, is maintainable, and produces something like 20 cents per mile of cost, and then we charge $1 per mile, roughly, or $1 per minute, if you will, in cities like New York City. We could get $300 a day times 350, so about $100,000 per year per robot. And now we scale this up to, let's say, 1 million cars globally by 2029. That's about $1 trillion in revenue. Add another couple of $100 billion of Optimus revenue, and you're looking at 1.2 to 1.5 trillion in revenue, on top of maybe another 300-400 billion of car sales and energy sales. So we could be in the $1.5 to $2 trillion range, times, give it a 3 times sales multiple. We're looking at 6 trillion, which is roughly a 6x in, let's say, 4 years, something like that. This is why we're holding on to the stock. It's very difficult to justify this right now, given the situation, and this is one of those points in the life of an investor where you're looking at the abyss, but by looking at the abyss, you're coming out on the other side because you're disrupting yourself. You're disrupting the exact problem that is creating the fundamental issues that you're dealing with right now, and that's the big upside. I know this sounds, for some people, this might be difficult to digest, and the purpose of this podcast is to give people a sense for what it feels like to run a hedge fund. Well, this is the mother of all situations that a hedge fund has to deal with, when you are fully invested in a situation that has an enormous amount of upside, but is in the moment fundamentally challenged. This is exactly the situation that we're dealing with right now. I think the best way to deal with this is knowledge. Knowledge reduces risk. I always fall back to Jeff Bezos. It's hard to predict the future, but it is therefore important to understand the things that won't change. And what won't change is that we will have more intelligence, that the bitter lesson will work for virtual intelligence as much as embodied intelligence, that Tesla will become the leader in embodied intelligence, not because they have the intelligence, that's important, but it's because they have the low cost, high scale, low maintenance, low cost, total cost of ownership product in the market, which will eventually win over. And with markets like transportation and labor, which are trillion-dollar markets, Tesla can garner large amounts of revenue and therefore become a very valuable company. This is the thesis. This is where we stand right now. We think this revolution will have social impact. That's for another episode. It's not clear that the unions and the auto industry and the oil and gas industry will just yield, but then you have situations like the farmers or typewriters and all kinds of jobs that went away because of technology. This will be a massive scale change of jobs. New jobs will be created, and we will have a different types of different society. But I guess to summarize, we're at a crossroads technologically as much as socially. As a hedge fund, we are very invested in it financially and also emotionally. We have to deal with this. There is downside also, of course. There's the risk, for example, of social backlash, which you already saw. I think the best course of action for Tesla is to deliver the technology and the products and the services and not actually deal with the political backlash. Let the politicians deal with the backlash. But fundamentally, what's important is that we have the constituency, which is blocking reforms and creating these huge deficits that we have. Those constituencies are the problem, and we can replace them with robot labor, whether it's cars or humanoid robots. Thank you.